Every story appears ordinary till you see the core side of it.
And what you're looking for is a story behind the news.
We bring it to you from Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria.
Giving you all sides and political stories round the clock.
Every detail from the start line to the final whistle.
CoreTV News, expanding your view.
Hello, good evening. Thank you for joining us on CoreTV Primetime News. I am Frank Omalape. Our top stories tonight. Thank you for joining us now. After 31 years, winning the maiden edition of the Under-16 World Cup, President Muhammadu Buhari Thursday announced ₦2 million each for members of the 1985 Golden Eaglet team. The President, Buhari, who stated these at a presidential reception held in honor of victorious sportsmen and women of the countries, says that they must be rewarded. A State House correspondent, Abiola Oluwole, completes this report.
This is the presidential reception in honor of athletes who have done the country proud in recent sporting competitions across the globe by the federal government. One after the other, the sportsmen and women file out for a handshake and photo session with President Buhari. Appreciating the athletes afterwards, the president says the change policy of his administration will reflect in sports development. It charges the athletes to strive for more success in the coming Rio Olympics. The president also announced the sum of ₦2 million each for players of the victorious 1985 Golden Eaglets, 31 years after the competition.
On behalf of the government and sports-loving Nigerians, to announce the following as token of our appreciation to our sports ambassadors. Beneficiaries: Wesley, bronze medalist, ₦1.2 million. Coaches, ₦6 million. FIFA 2015 male Afro basketball champion, the Tigers. Players, gold medalists, ₦600,000 each. Coaches, ₦600,000 each.
Captain of the 1985 Under-17 team and other athletes say the reward is long overdue, thanking the president for the gesture.
Wonderful, awesome, an unbelievable thing. A thing that we fought, we kept hope alive, and at a time, it worries as if, like a pack of cards, the hope went dead.
For the President General of the Nigerian Sports Supporters Club worldwide, it is disheartening that his club is not a part of the honor roll.
As a Nigerian, I feel happy that these players have been rewarded. But there's a group behind them, and my group is the Supporters Club. We spend our money, we spend our time.
As the athletes depart the State House, analysts are expecting the gesture of the president to spur them to winning more laurels for the country. From the presidential villa in Abuja, Abiola Oluwole, CoreTV News.
And what a way to remember this group referred to as First Class Eaglet. Away from there now, the House of Representatives Wednesday continue its consideration of a 2016 appropriation bill. Many of the members who asked the floor were concerned about the fact that the budget was benchmarked at $38 per barrel, while the oil prices were systematically sliding down. Our correspondent Jamila Figwa has more.
Of The 2016 budget proposal was predicated on a $38 per barrel benchmark, which for some was worrisome, as according to them, oil prices were falling.
And the scrubbers, which of course cut oil supplies, crude supplies to Warri and Kaduna refineries. Mr. Speaker, by this, everybody must have noticed in this country that electricity supply has really gone down. This is pure sabotage. This is how, in the circumstance where this budget was prepared. But Mr. Speaker, these are the headaches, but there are also hopes.
While praising the budget, some of the members argued that the budget was one of hope, but expressed concerns about some key sectors and how they will be funded.
Inasmuch as we know the government mills very well by feeding all pupils in school, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, there's something that is definitely going to come out of this program, which is massive enrollment in school. Definitely enrollments are going to rise in schools, which is going to affect infrastructure. So I think in the course of looking at the other linkages, that is the infrastructure of schools, together with this homegrown feeding, Mr. Speaker, we need to do something to make sure the linkage is there.
I have been concerned to see in clear terms how the government wishes to translate its programs into practical terms, especially with the issue, the promise of creating 500,000 jobs for young people in this country.
With a budget of over 6 trillion naira, some believe the economy will seriously be recapitalized as well as create jobs.
And I want to add that this change budget is being looked up to by all stakeholders in the Nigerian project as one that will regalvanize the economy, as one that will induce growth and productivity, as one that will create employment, and is focused on addressing our key infrastructure deficits.
Discrepancies in the allocation to some ministries disturbed a few.
Some ministries need not be funded as it is being funded here. Like the Ministry of Information and Culture, the budget for that is 45-point-something billion. Defense is adequately budgeted for. But when you go through, you will find out that the office of NSA, National Security Advisor, have 90-point-something billion. And when you compare it to Ministry of Trade and Investment, and some other ministries, very important ministries, they are having 30-point-something billion.
The House, after a near exhaustive session, adjourned debate until the next legislative week. Jamil Afegwa, CoreTV News, Abuja.
Meanwhile, the House Ad Hoc Committee on Constitution Review has been inaugurated by the Speaker of the House of Representatives. And Chairman of the committee reminded members that the 8th Assembly should set the ball rolling in the attempt to review the Constitution.
Nigeria has sought to review its constitution for some years. This prompted the 5th, 6th and the 7th Assemblies to set up ad hoc committees to find ways of altering and making adjustments to the document. The 8th Assembly, on its part, will be looking to build on the works of the 7th Assembly in this regard.
The 8th National Assembly is setting the ball rolling in the achievement of our legislative agenda. The inauguration of the Special Ad Hoc Committee on the Review of the 1999 Constitution is in pursuant of Section 9, subsections 1, 2, 3, and 4, the mode of altering provisions of the Constitution. This provision clearly states the process and procedure by which any section of the 1999 Constitution can be amended.
Stressing the need for accelerated passage, he asked members to amend all troubling areas and for effective governance.
I will like to state here the need to give the bill's accelerated passage in pursuant to orders 11, orders 12 and 13 of our standing orders, procedure for altering the Constitution, and Rule 96, which states thus: the legislative business of the House, which, though completed and laid in the House by a committee of the House, remain undetermined at the end of the Assembly, shall be resumed and proceeded with in the next Assembly in the manner as if the tenure of the Assembly had not come to an end.
The mandate of the committee, among others, will include liaising with State Houses of Assembly for inputs. A lot had indeed been achieved in the 7th Assembly, but was never assented to by the past administration.
In the legislative agenda of the 8th House of Representatives, we said the laudable efforts of the 7th National Assembly that led to far-reaching alterations to the 1999 Constitution was not assented to by the former President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan GCFR.
The committee is made up of one member from each of the 36 states, 9 principal officers, and women legislators to protect women's rights. Jamila Fegwa, CoreTV News, Abuja.
And Nigeria will be losing about 1,000 megawatts of electricity and its equivalent in gas as a result of activities of militants in the Niger Delta. Members of the Senate Committee on Petroleum and Gas stated this at a news conference where they condemned the ongoing destruction of pipelines in Delta State. They called on the militant to desist from adding to the woes of the country, especially as Boko Haram insurgency continues to persist.
It has come to the notice of the Senate the very unpatriotic act of some vandals who had decided to blow up pipelines at this time of national emergency, when the dwindling price of oil and the insurgency in the northeast of Nigeria is confronting our nation. It is very disheartening that at a time when all hands should be on deck to revive the economy and ensure the survival of the country, some people could decide at this point in time in the history of the nation to further sabotage the efforts of the present administration.
The damage is enormous. The country will be losing over 200 million score of cubic feet of gas on a daily basis, which is equivalent to about 1,000 megawatts of lights. And this is the gas pipeline that supplies Egbin and most of the NIBP along the southwestern region of this country. And in a period where we are grappling with the challenges of domestic gas supply, we believe very strongly that this should be condemned.
No matter what our grievances are, I do not think that, and I'm sure that the Senate, you will agree with me, do not believe that blowing up pipelines is the solution to the problem. Yes, we have heard all the problems. We are aware of the problems. Today, we were even debating these issues in the Senate. All of you were there. A number of issues were raised on some of these issues that have been raised, and we are in the process of resolving them. But in resolving them, we do not believe that taking the law into our own hands is the solution to these things.
And now the Federal High Court sitting in Maitama, Abuja, has fixed January 21 for the trial of former National Security Advisor Sambo Dasuki on the charges of alleged diversion of 32 billion naira arms procurement. Justice Baba Yusuf fixed the date after defense lawyers Joseph Daudu and Ahmed Raji had written to the court that they would be in Kogi State for an election petition case on Thursday. Prosecuting counsel for the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, Rotimi Jacobs, and other defense counsel in the case did not oppose the request by Dasuki's lawyers.
Well, nothing really happened rather than just all the defendants were in court, including the Colonel Dasuki. His counsel wrote letters to the effect that they will not be able to attend today's proceedings because of the election matter. So that is what happened, and the court had to adjourn it tomorrow. Yes.
And also on court matters, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission has arraigned the National Publicity Secretary, Olisametu, before the Federal Capital Territory High Court in Abuja on a fresh charge bordering on destruction of the evidence against him. Metu pleaded not guilty after a 2-count charge preferred against him by the Commission, which was read. The presiding judge, Justice Ishak Bello, ordered the accused person to be remanded in Kuje prison pending the determination of his bail application.
The PDP National Secretary, Olisametu, was brought again in court on Thursday in handcuffs by the prison officials.
They know that what they are doing is wrong. He has not been convicted. He's not a prisoner. It's a blatant infringement of his rights, and it is wrong. And when someone who ought to know consistently does something that is wrong, then it gives you some cause for concern. We intend to take that up with the authorities. Perhaps their superiors might not know, but it's all over the place, it's all over the news. So we expect that by the next appearance that they would have called their subordinates to order.
According to the EFCC, Metu allegedly tore his written statement and attempted to chew it while he was being investigated for money laundering case against him. The offense allegedly committed by Metu, according to charge sheet, contravenes Section 166 and 327 of the Penal Code and attracts 2 years imprisonment if convicted. Attempts made by his lawyer, Onyechi Ikpazu, for oral bail application did not succeed as the court fixed January 26 for argument on the application.
He was charged for certain offenses, 2-count charge before the FCT High Court, incidentally before the Chief Judge of the FCT, and the charge was read and he pleaded not guilty. The case was further adjourned to the 26th of February for the hearing of the case, and then the issue of bail was deferred. So we intend to apply for his bail, and the offense is bailable, attracts a penalty of just 2 years.
The prosecution counsel, Silvanus Tahir, in his submission, told the court that 3 witnesses will be called to testify against Metu when the trial commences. Justice Ishak Bello was not pleased that the EFCC filed a charge against the accused persons before the court when the same matter is pending at the Federal High Court, also in Abuja. The prosecution counsel, Sylvester Tahir, replied that the fresh charges were the Penal Code, while the one at the Federal High Court bordered on money laundering. Meanwhile, Metu has been returned to the Kuje prisons in Abuja pending the time his bail application will be considered and determined.
You're still watching CoreTV Primetime News. Coming up after the break, analysts charge President Buhari's administration to not only expose corrupt leaders, but ensure the rule of law take its course. More details after the break.
Because I want to be a doctor and help people when they are sick. I want better education and training so I can be a soldier and protect my country. I want better roads to avoid accidents so I can get to school on time safely.
For topical issues, Nigerians must have something to say.
Arms. We don't need arms for anything. Let them put it into education.
They need to buy another arms now. What are they fighting for? Government should deal with them squarely.
Please help us bring back our guests. No money, no markets. We are dying. Everybody is crying. Nothing.
Any man God support, no man stops. It's a prophecy I believe he must have received from heaven. Yes.
The people giving voice to the voiceless.
Watching the CoreTV Primetime News broadcasting live from our Lagos studios. If you've just joined us, a quick reminder of our top stories. of our headline news, log on to our social media platforms, facebook.com/CoreTV News. You can also tweet at us at CoreTV News NG. For other stories, log on to youtube.com/CoreTV space the news. And now the outbreak of Lassa fever may have claimed its first victim in Ekiti State. As disclosed by the government, a 17-year-old girl died from symptoms relating to Lassa fever at the University Teaching Hospital at Ekiti, while the government awaits the blood test confirmation. The management of the Federal Teaching Hospital Ido-Ekiti, which had the index case, however, says the index victim is now in stable condition. Our correspondent Rashid tells us more.
As bad as the outbreak of Lassa fever may be, its spread surely is most feared. While case of the deadly disease is being managed at the Federal Teaching Hospital Ido-Ekiti, the Ekiti State Governor Ayodele Fauci confirms the death of another person at the State University Teaching Hospital at Ido-Ekiti.
We must be united to fight Lassa fever. In the state we have lost one person. There's another one critically ill. And the only solution is prevention.
A trip to the Federal Teaching Hospital Ido-Ekiti, where index case of the disease was recorded in Ekiti State, head of the institution, Lawrence Majakodumi, says the 18-year-old student nurse is now in a stable condition.
In our hospital here, Federal Teaching Hospital Ido-Ekiti, nobody has died of Lassa fever. And the other suspected cases that we sent their samples to Irua all came back negative. So we don't have any patients right now, whether suspected or confirmed of Lassa fever.
The Ekiti State government says it awaits the final blood test of the University Teaching Hospital victim in ascertaining if the death is caused by Lassa fever. The wait may, however, be another source of panic, which must be allayed. Rashid, CoreTV News.
Control Isolation Center.
And now the death of 33-year-old resident doctor at the Obafemi Awolowo University Teaching Hospital in Ile-Ife was suggestive of Lassa fever and not confirmatory. The permanent secretary in the Ministry of Health, Dr. Temitope Oladele, said second sample was not taken before the man died. According to him, 55 persons have so far been listed as contacts by the Rapid Response Surveillance Team of the hospital for follow-up in order to detect possible symptoms in any case. Dr. Oladele says the late doctor must have contracted the virus from a neighboring state where he fell sick before coming to his place of work in Ile-Ife. He further explained that apart from the suggestive case, there was no other reports case in the state. Dr. Oladele therefore advised residents of the state to take care of their personal and environmental hygiene in order to guard against the scourge of the disease.
Over the last weekend, specimen taken at the lab on Monday, the first specimen came and is suggestive. All contacts, 55 of them, are presently under surveillance. Presently, none of the contacts have shown any sign or symptom of the disease. Members of the public are advised to maintain a high level of personal and environmental hygiene. They should go about their usual business as normal.
Away from there now, INEC Chairman Mahmoud Yakubu says the support of the media and civil society organization is a fundamental part in ensuring that what he describes as the many general elections, which will see the Commission conducting 82 elections between now and March, is successful. He says the support will also go a long way in helping to address the unacceptable level of electoral violence. Our correspondent Kazim Kasali, who was at the interactive section between the Commission's chairman, civil societies groups and the media, filing this report.
First quarter of this year will witness a mini general election. Because they are time bound, we have to conduct the elections according to the text of the judgments, but for a maximum of 90 days. Some are less, but we have to conduct the elections within 90 days. So this will take us so far to the upper limit of the middle of March. So in the next 2.5 months, we'll conduct 82 elections.
And to continue on our judicial matter now, analysts on anti-corruption war says the crusade of President Muhammadu Buhari continues to thump its chest on corrupt public offenders. The revelation of more allegations by the anti-graft agencies raises the question of who is winning the war against corruption. On a flashy program called Aegis, analysts say the Buhari administration is only exposing corrupt leaders, but the rule of law will not be exercised. Correspondent Victoria Solomon has details.
The impact of the widespread of corruption in Nigeria has made the Buhari-led administration go all out in fighting the disease. However, the anti-corruption war in Nigeria by analysts is capable of turning fighters into victims and those being fought into heroes. The anti-graft agency, EFCC, saddled with the responsibility of fighting Nigeria's anti-corruption war, has been criticized to swing both ways in every political administration since its inception. This public analyst says corruption will continue if the constitution is not reviewed and the rule of law needs to be checked.
It is not right, but we need to look at our laws. That's where the loophole is. We need judicial reforms, we need law reforms. It's unfortunate. Nigerians have been clamoring for this. But you know why? People will not look at it because those who are supposed to look into it know that they might be victims someday. And we need to keep, as media and as the public, general public, we need to keep hammering this matter until someday they decide to act on it.
Femi Enofe says fighting corruption is a collective work and Nigerians should not abandon the government.
In all sincerity, it's absolutely impossible to exonerate anybody now. And if the typical question is who is winning, I'll say the thieves are winning. And it's not going to change unless Nigerians take over the country and fight corruption by themselves. Because this whole process of somebody pretending, because as far as I'm concerned, this is all politics. Nobody's fighting corruption here.
Some callers on the program has this to say.
You have to tackle corruption. You have to start with judiciary. Anti-corruption in this country, you take it as a criminal law. And death penalty is charging on corruption. People will not stop. If you see Nigeria money, let them go for death by hanging. I don't know.
About the anti-corruption saga.
Yeah, I'm asking.
I think the EFCC is winning.
Okay.
Because many people who were accused of 400 million, 300 million, they were granted on bail for the same amount.
The governments are not trying anything at all in terms of corruption. And we have a very long way to go. Like what he was saying concerning the generation that corruption will stop. I believe a lot of people need to be executed first. As in, if some examples are set down for some useless politicians, they will change their lifestyle and they will check themselves for check and balance.
Nigerians are hopeful that the Buhari-led administration will not only expose corrupt leaders, but also help apply the rule of law. Victoria Solomon, CoreTV News, Lagos.
And now the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission Acting Chairman Ibrahim Mustafa Magu says the fight against corruption will not spare anybody. Besides, the FCC boss agreed that the rate of convictions in corruption cases may be low, but he's sure that more looters will go to jail this year. The anti-graft boss fondly called the general says every stakeholder seems to be more serious about fighting corruption. From all indications, the judges are more serious. Everybody is cooperating, and this year he says that they will see more politically exposed persons convicted. Away from there now, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission is set to file fresh criminal charges against government Ekpemo Polo, popularly known as Polo, and a former Director General of the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, NIMASA, Patrick Akpobolokemi, over an alleged scam and the acquisition of a property worth 11.7 billion and 765,308,339.80 kobo. The property, Mieka Dive Institute, is sprawling expanse earlier acquired by NIMASA for the takeoff of the Nigerian Maritime University, was approved for an outright purchase by the past administration in the sum of 13.27 billion naira, in which a sum of 11.7 billion was paid through NIMASA. Investigations revealed that the funds were fundamentally claimed through an alleged false presentation of a certificate of customary rights of occupancy of the property and inflation of the property sum. The same property was allegedly wrongly acquired and wrongly purchased as the Omadino community of Delta State. The rightful owners of the property are making a demand for rightful payment of the same land. A federal high court sitting in Lagos last week ordered the arrest of Tompolo following his failure to appear before the court for his arraignment of an alleged 34 billion naira scam preferred against him, the NIMASA boards and 4 other persons, as well as the companies by the FCC. The court consequently fixed February 8, 2016 for their arraignment. And now the national chairman of the All Progressive Congress, John Odige Oyegun, says Nigeria's present economic downturn could be an act of God to remind Nigeria on the need to implement and embrace radical change, particularly in the country's current economic model. Odige Oyegun, while speaking at a courtesy call by a 50-member delegation of an APC support group, a Change Agent Foundation led by its Director General Felix at the party's National Secretariat in Abuja, says is an object lesson for the nation. He says the drop in oil price has taken a toll on the revenue and expenditure of the federal government, and as a result, it's having a severe effect on the economy. Going further, he says the party is putting together a 3-day dialogue which will bring together all stakeholders for an exposition of the realities facing the nation. He says the nation must fashion out new economic models away from oil dependence for a new and more broad-based direction. For his part, Director General of the group says the national chairman is a role model, thanking him for leading the party to victory in the general election. And away from there now, Osun State Governor Ralph Aregbesola says the Nigerian youth should be encouraged to stimulate their interest in farming as a response to the nation's dwindling economy. Aregbesola stated this at the second Distinguished Personality Lecture of the Osun State University College of Law, Ife-Tedo. The governor wants the youth population to be actively involved in agriculture to turn around the economic fortune of Nigeria, as it suggests a shift away from oil revenue, which is no longer forthcoming. And now the Lagos State Internal Revenue Services has lauded the former sector for their level of compliance in remitting their taxes. This commendation was given by the Executive Chairman of the State Internal Revenue Services, Olufolarin Ogunsawo. According to him, 95% of taxpayers have been compliant to personal income tax of Acts of amended by 2011, known as Pay As You Earn (PA). Our correspondent Sarah Ayeko has more.
With the challenges facing small-scale businesses in Nigeria, and Lagos in particular, the Executive Chairman of Internal Revenue Service, Lagos State, has embarked on a mission to recover taxes unpaid from the informal sector. Tax from the informal sector, which refers to the market women and men, the professionals and service providers, have over time been a challenge for the revenue collector.
We expect that those that are in self-employment, they should file their returns, okay, and declare their income correctly to the relevant tax authority. But in doing this, we have not been getting their cooperation. So much so that majority of the people that are actually supposed to be in the tax net are not yet in the tax net.
However, the revenue agency says it's determined to devise means of collecting taxes from these sectors to ensure steady growth in the nation's economy.
One of the canons of taxation is convenience, and we have to make it convenient for them to be able to pay. Many people are willing to pay, but just the time to go there and pay is usually a problem. And this has kind of impacted on also the level of compliance. So we are looking at all avenues that could be used to ease the mode of payment. So we are leveraging on technology now to ensure that all this category of people, we want to open up other avenues of payment.
In another development, while some Nigerians are of the opinion that religious organizations should pay tax, some others differ, thereby corroborating the directive of the Federal Inland Revenue.
Religious organizations, by virtue of their registration and by virtue of the nature of what they do, are exempted from paying taxes.
The religious organization, for me, they have to be paying tax. Why? Because some of them are just turned this religion, whatever, as a kind of business or what. So, for me, they have to just be paying tax to add something to the government.
You go and be taxing religious organizations, then you turn it into a business. Alien is not a business, it is a moral issue. And you cannot quantify moral issue in naira and kobo.
Tax is one ingredient that stimulates an economy, especially healthcare systems, education systems, and public transports. Hence, Nigerians should perform their civic obligation by paying their tax promptly to the right authority. Sarah Ayeku, CoreTV News, Lagos.
You're still watching CoreTV Primetime News. We take a break now. We'll be back shortly with more stories outside Nigeria. Stay with us.
Chima, what you do so?
Same market now.
Person when they buy the market, no get receipt. What you do?
Which receipt? No be pocket money they go.
Hey, you dey pay tax?
Who be tax?
Guy, all these health centers wey dey run na tax o.
My brother, make I tell you, good road na tax, security na tax. Those school where your children they go, how you think say them they pay the teachers? Brother, na tax. And if you no pay your tax, my brother, then go lock your shop.
Abeg, Tunde, where did they pay the tax?
Na for tax office now.
Carry me go there.
Go. Abu, help us look shop, abeg.
You can now watch CoreTV News live from anywhere in the world on our website www.coretvnews.com. Click on Live TV on our website and watch us live.
And welcome to CoreTV Primetime Days.
To follow us on Twitter, click on Twitter icon on our website. On Facebook, click on the Facebook and YouTube to see all our previous news production. You can also watch us live on YouTube. Click CoreTV, leave a space, then news. CoreTV News, a 24-hour news station.
And outside Nigeria now, a Kenyan contingent of the African Union Force in Somalia was attacked by Al-Shabaab militants in Eladi in the south of the country. Kenya has not said how many soldiers died, but Al-Shabaab puts the figure at more than 100. The army has asked people to be patient while it investigates what happened. In 1998, more than 200 people died when Al-Qaeda attacked the U.S. Embassy in Kenya's capital in one of the first operations launched by the jihadist group. Kenya's Chief of Defense Forces, Gen Samson Nwati, told journalists in Nairobi to imagine the damage that 3 of those in that small defensive position can cause. And now 5 policemen have been killed in an attack on a checkpoint in the north of Egypt, Restive Sinai Peninsula, the Interior Ministry says. 3 conscripts were also wounded when gunmen opened fire at the checkpoint in the town of El Arish. Security forces will search for the attackers who managed to flee. Jihadist militants, largely based in Sinai, have killed hundreds of security personnel since the military overthrew President Mohamed Morsi in 2013. The government has responded with airstrikes and ground operations. The last major attack in El Arish took place in December when suicide bombers blew themselves up at a hotel, killing 2 judges monitoring the parliamentary elections. And in sports now.
Our style, that's what he delivered. Here's that ball, storming, with a flying lead.
Go, taking them out in the lead.
Former Super Eagles striker Daniel Amokachi has been appointed as head coach of Finland's JS Hercules for 1 year. Amokachi is expected to bring his experience to the fore as he leads the newly promoted Finnish division side when the season begins, and the club's chairman, Juho Siri, says the delicacy is proud to have the former Super Eagles star who played at the highest level, adding that Amokachi is well known and is expected to bring new insights into the team because he has seen all during his career. Before Amokachi's move to Finland, he was in charge of Nigeria's professional football league outfit, FC Ifeanyuba. The former Super Eagles striker sees his new appointment as an adventure and a big chance for him. And now in tennis, Leigh Hewitt has played the last singles match of his tennis career, losing to David Ferrer in the second round of the Australian Open. Former world number one Hewitt, who won 2 Grand Slam titles, was beaten 6-2, 6-4, 6-4 by the Spaniard. Hewitt, who won 30 singles titles, was victorious at the US Open in 2001 and Wimbledon in 2002, and also helped his home country win the Davis Cup twice in 1999 and 2003. Despite ending his singles career, Hewitt has at least one more match to play before becoming captain of Australia's Davis Cup team. He partners countryman Sam Grove against Finland's Henri Kohtinen and Australia's John Pearce in a second-round men's doubles match on Friday. You've been watching CoreTV Primetime News. Just before we go, take a look at the highlights of our major stories. Well, and that's been the show tonight. Thank you for watching. I am Frank Omalape on behalf of the entire production crew. Have a good night.